although the recent problems we've faced fiscally and budget-wise may threaten that short term.
You had written an op-ed piece that I'm going to get into in just a second, and we'll talk about some of those positives. But let's, the news of the week this week is the Governor Carcieri with the State of the State and the fiscal crisis. Let me just get your reaction to kind of the tone of that speech and the effect that this budget crisis is going to have on some of the stuff you're talking about. Just give me your assessment about the governor's tone from the other day.
Sure. Well, the governor's got a big challenge, and I worked for Bruce Sunland, and he had a similar kind of challenge with a deficit that arguably might have even been a higher percentage of the state
with
budget.
The credit union crisis.
With the credit union crisis. So the governor clearly has a challenge. He doesn't have any easy choices, and so in that context, I empathize with him. I do think the tone is a little bit too draconian, though. I think that this is hopefully a short-term crisis. There are some long-term issues to be addressed, but if we have a budget that only promotes austerity and doesn't also promote prosperity, it's not, in my view, a balanced budget. It's not a balanced approach. And I'm concerned in particular that the governor is proposing to cap the state historic tax credit.
Let's talk about that, because that's kind of a short-term fix in your mind, because you're saying the ripple effect of that tax credit is a lot more than a lot of people realize. Let's talk about that tax credit, what it's done, and why you guys have been pushing for that.
Sure. Well, it is an economic incentive tool, a neighborhood revitalization tool, and it enables developers to take our old mill buildings, which dot the landscape of Rhode Island and which have been underutilized and in many cases fire traps for years. It enables those developers to invest in rehabbing these mills for residential activity, for commercial activity, for child care centers in some cases, for a variety of worthwhile uses.
And getting a substantial tax credit on it.
And getting a substantial tax credit on it, because rehabbing these old mill buildings is much more expensive and much more complicated than digging up farmland in South County for brand new construction. And we believe
that's what you're trying to deter.
And that's what we're trying to deter. So the tax credit is a great way to combat sprawl, to reuse what we already have, to have more efficient economic development, and to be a catalyst for redevelopment of our urban town and village centers, which we think are the key to Rhode Island's economic vitality.
And maybe that's what was lost in the governor's trying to bridge the gap between this year, that, kind of one of the subtexts that maybe not other people were paying attention to, but you were, was pulling back on that historic tax credit.
Yes.
You think penny